Want to build strength while you do yoga? Join Rocky for this innovative and dynamic yoga workout. You can practice live with expert teachers like Rocky every day on Yoga International. Find a YouTube exclusive offer in the description below.
All right, welcome to Yoga Conditioning. My name is Rocky. All yoga is a form of conditioning. It's conditioning our mind, it's conditioning our hearts, it's conditioning our tissues, our body, our expectation, our beliefs. So yoga conditioning is just a clever way of saying we're going to condition yourself, and it might not look like traditional yoga, but we're going to continue that endeavor of helping you become stronger and more resilient and more embodied. People ask me sometimes let me tell you this first, actually, before we get rolling. We're going to use a blanket today. So that might give you an idea of some things that might be happening. Ideally, you have a blanket and you have a hardwood floor to practice on. And I'm sorry if you lack either one of those things. It is possible to do a lot of what we'll be doing today on carpet. You'll just want something that can slide on the carpet. Sometimes I'll use 2 paper plates under my hands or under my feet. Sometimes I'll use 2 big manila envelopes or like any kind of paper that's thicker that can slide. If you have carpet sliders for furniture, that works really well. And if you don't, then I'll do my best to give you some alternatives for the movements that we're going to do today. Sometimes even putting like socks or gloves, depending on the material, on the carpet, you can get some slide at least through your hands. Ideas. So my weekly practice looks like lots of different things, and it sometimes looks like no thing, depending on the week. But what I kind of consider my more nourishing yogic practices these days looks a lot like restorative practice and somatic movements. If you've done my Nourish and Replenish program on the platform, you'll get sort of an idea of what somatics and restorative looks like, at least for me. So when it comes time to practice yoga and really go a little bit more subtle, a little more curious with my movements, that's where I tend to go. In terms of my strength practice, it looks like a number of things. I'm working these days a lot with resistance bands, and I do traditional bodyweight calisthenics, and kind of synthesize that with what I know and what I'm interested in terms of more intermediate and advanced yoga poses. But that being said, right now my weekly split sort of looks a bit more focused on body region. So I have a day where I work on upper body, a day on lower body, a day where I do full body, and a day where I'll do sort of more plyometric movements or more dynamic movements. It occurred to me that instead of trying to rack my brain to think of what to do with these classes, that I might as well just introduce you to what my practice looks like, which tends to kind of fall on a different Tuesday every week. So today I'm on a full body day, which means we're going to go after some body weight drills, a bit more kind of straightforward. We'll do the drill, do it in like a circuit. So we'll do a number of drills, upper body, lower body focus. We'll take a beat to rest, and we'll just repeat these drills. So we're going to do 3 sets of 3 different drills on a circuit. We'll do it 3 times, and then we'll move on to a second collection of movements, and possibly even a third, depending on how I do with time here. It's going to be rich with sensation, as is life, as is our yoga practice often. And know that, again, these classes, everything we offer here is mixed level, so you're going to have to do your best to, I'll show you some modifications, but at least kind of know where your limits are. I'm going to set the target at like 10 reps per drill today. And we'll toggle between upper body and lower body. So while you're doing an upper body thing, your lower body can not rest, but do less, and then we'll kind of switch back and forth. Make sense? We'll see what happens. All right, so let's get started. Again, I'm using 1 blanket. I have the blanket. Do that thing where I double check. I'm not talking to no one. Okay, cool. So the blanket for me, if I had it open like this, and you can do this with a towel, you can do this with any number of things, but ideally with a large blanket, folding it in half lengthwise will kind of give you like almost like the shape or the territory of a yoga mat. Of course, there's like a leaf blower or some kind of lawnmower happening outside the moment that I go live. because life has a sense of humor. Not sure if you can hear that, but if you can, the soundtrack today is just this leaf blower blowing away anything you don't need and making space for new strength, new life to come online. So come into a kneeling position like this, or just a seated position, and make yourself comfortable. And I'll invite you to close your eyes. Place one hand over your heart. And as you breathe in, send your breath into your heart, into your hand. And open your mouth and just breathe out. Do that again. Inhale. Breathe out. One more time. Breathe in. And breathe out. Place your other hand onto the floor, fingertips to the floor. Slow down your breathing and amplify your breathing just a bit so it has some more energy, some more friction, some more power behind it. We do that actually by introducing resistance. Much like our strength training, we get stronger by introducing and contending with resistance. So with your breath, contend with the resistance of your vocal cords, narrowing slightly, and use that not to create sort of a disempowerment or a struggle, but an inner fortification, an alertness, a confidence, and attentiveness. Stira. And as you breathe in, have a sense that you could breathe into the hand that's over your heart. And as you breathe out, push into the floor as you redirect and rebound from earth to crown. Try that, switching your hands as well if you want to feel the forces on each side. 2 or 3 more breaths. Inhale into your top hand. Exhale, press into the earth and grow tall. Join your hands together in front of your heart. Touch your thumbs lightly to your sternum. And take a moment, we are going to work some strength conditioning drills, but as we know from our yoga practice, imbuing our movements with intention only increases their efficacy, their potency. So take a moment to consider what strength means to you. To be strong in your whole body, not just your whole body, but your mind, your spirit, your heart. To be able to contend with resistance in a way that enhances and further evolves who you are. And it can be a moving target sometimes. We regress, we progress, we progress, we regress. Inhale deeply. Exhale fully. Take one sound of Om together. Breathe in. Lift your heart, bow your head. Welcome yourself. Welcome each other all around the world. Welcome. Release your arms, lift your chin, open your eyes. Okay, so come to a kneeling position at the back of your mat. Separate your knees just a little bit, so about as wide as your ribs, and then bring your elbows to the floor down beside elbows beside your knees, forearms to the floor. Let your head relax. You're sort of in a forearm child's pose. And then we're going to play with a little bit of force through your upper and lower body. So press your legs into the ground, press your arms into the ground, and push your limbs away from each other, like you could stretch yourself longer. And then do the opposite. Pull everything towards your legs, towards your arms, and take your chest forward. Actually look forward. Breathe in. As you breathe out, push forward with your arms, draw your belly back. Inhale, pull back, take your chest forward. So it's sort of like a cat-cow in your upper back. And straighten your arms out in front of you. Slide your arms further forward. We'll do a similar thing now, lifting and lowering our torso. So as you exhale, push with your arms, draw your belly back. And as you inhale with your hands, take your chest forward, lift your head up, and slide the blanket back so you're sitting up. Okay, so as you exhale, you'll slide forward. As you inhale, you'll slide up. You could try in your spine, either kind of arching your back to come up, or tensile in your back body so your head leads. You could also try kind of rolling yourself up. So as you pull back with your arms, your belly pulls back. You slide up, and then leading with your head and hands, you slide down. And slide forward onto your hands and your knees. Bring your wrists underneath your shoulders. Grip onto the mat with your fingertips, like actually kind of grab onto the mat, and create the action of twisting, and by mat I mean blanket, of twisting your fingers away from each other so that the blanket between your fingers gets stretched. Now keep that twisting action, pull your shoulders away from your ears, get long through your spine, bring your knees a little closer in, okay, and then take your right leg and send it straight back. It can go to the floor. Push your hands down, push your legs down, lift up through your low belly, and then take your right leg and lift it up off the floor. A little warm up for your hip. You're going to take your right leg across the midline over to the left and touch the floor. So I get long from my right hip to my right side, and then lift your leg up knee to the side and pull your right knee towards your right shoulder. Okay, we'll just go back and forth through those movements. Go back, turn your leg in, tap over to the left, and then wrap knee to shoulder. Try and inhale to take your leg over, exhale, knee to shoulder. And the next time you pull your knee to your shoulder, pause, lift up onto your right fingertips, and step your right foot outside of your right hand. Press your right arm and knee into each other. As you breathe in, lift your left elbow up, turn your chest up, reach your left arm up. Exhale, put your left hand back down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, go up and hold. Turn your left palm to face the crown of your head and reach your left bicep alongside your ear. Imagine you were grabbing onto something like a handle or a stretchy band. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, do like a pull up on your left side. Pull your left elbow towards your left shoulder. So you'll inhale, straighten your left arm. Exhale, pull over. You can do that. You can be on your right palm. You could also be on fingertips. You can even hold your right ankle. Straighten your left arm. Take both hands down. Now, take your right elbow. Reach your right elbow up towards the ceiling. Twist. And then spin your right palm towards the front of the room. As you reach your right arm overhead, stretch your right side, start to turn your belly and touch the floor as far in front of you as you can. So I get a nice stretch on my right side when I do that. Then reverse it, lift your right arm up, spin your palm back and reach back like you were gonna touch your left foot. And then go back and forth. So circling your shoulder. You go fast, you can go slow. Okay. And take your right hand and slide it to the outside of your right knee. Press your knee and hand into each other. Lift up onto your left fingertips. Squeeze your right hip in and lift your left knee off the floor. 5 taps. So you'll inhale, tap your left knee down. Exhale, lift your knee up. Okay, so the work here is to squeeze in your thighs so your leg actually straightens. And try to keep your pelvis more or less still. Then lift your leg up, pause, reach your left arm forward. We're just going to take one breath. Push into your right heel, come up, arch back, stretch. Exhale, put your hands down, put your left knee down. Take your right leg and step it back to meet your left. Okay, it's a lot on one side, but just kind of check in. Calling this kind of warm up, awakening. Take your left leg back, push left foot and hands down, twist your hands into the floor, lengthen your spine, then lift your left leg up. Okay, it goes across the midline to the right, tap the floor, stretch your left waist, and then lift, go out to the left, knee to shoulder. Tap. So I'm shortening my right side and my left side as I mobilize through my hip. Step your left foot outside of your left hand. Press your left knee and shoulder into each other. Right arm up, right arm down. And I'm just sort of picking the breath, meaning when I say inhale up, exhale down, or vice versa, one is not better than the other. I'm just making a choice. You could choose either or both. Next time your right arm is up, pause. Turn your right palm to face the crown of your head. Reach your right arm alongside your ear, and then do those imaginary pull-ups. Bend your right elbow, squeeze, and stretch. So that squeeze comes from a number of muscles, primarily your lats, which pull your elbow, sort of your upper arm towards your sacrum. Okay, right hand down, left arm up. Spin your left palm forward. Reach your left arm forward, circle, turn your chest towards the floor and just reach as far out as you can. And then like you're painting a really big, beautiful rainbow across the sky. But it only connects on the one side. Pot of gold on the left side. Okay, left arm up, left hand outer left knee, press, lift your back knee up. Tap your knee down, lift it up. Tap down, lift up. Try to keep your pelvis still. And then lift your right leg, yeah. Stabilize your left, lift your right arm up, stretch. Exhale, both hands down inside of your left foot. Step your right foot up outside of your hands, come into a squat. Okay, your squat could be with lifted heels or something under your heels if you need. Notice for a lot of folks, the ankles tend to evert and pronate here, which means they turn out and weight sort of rolls to the inner edge of your foot and your knees move, let's say, not quite as far as your toes. So see if you can widen your knees, not so much like to quote, keep your knees safe, but just so that you can distribute weight all the way down through both inner and outer edges of your feet. And if you can, turn your toes a bit more in. Press your arms and legs together, lift your chest up. Then hook your thumbs together and reach your arms forward. If you can, reach your arms up. We're going to do a few push-pull squats. So this will be the inhale position. As you exhale, push into your heels, pull your thumbs and pull your wrists towards your chest. Like you did a really big pull-up to stand up. Let's try that a few times because it's weird. You probably haven't done it before. On your inhale, take your hips back, reach your arms up. It's because I just made it up. Exhale, pull, thumbs to your chest, and squeeze your upper back. Inhale. Exhale, you could switch the cross of your thumbs, see if that feels different. Inhale. Exhale. One more. And then stand up. Press your palms back. Lift your chest up. Lift onto your tiptoes. Take a big breath in, squeeze your back body. Exhale, lower your heels down. Just rock back and forth on your heels a bit. I did this last week. Let your arms swing. Now, you might want to do this not on your blanket. It'd be a little bit too much of a progression. See if you can get some lift off. Push off your toes. Your ujjayi could turn to somewhat of a kapalabhati. More forceful exhale to take you up. In the last 20 or 30 seconds, bounce on your toes. I'm gonna bounce over here and grab my phone. It has the cheat sheet on it. A little twist. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and land. Hand to your heart, reconnect. Slow your breath. I'm gonna fold my blanket up. Fold it once, twice the long way. So our first set is gonna involve some, I'm not great at naming things. I call these core slides. Essentially, we're gonna go from plank to almost like a faux bakasana. I'll show you the movement. So the core slides will look like this. Then we're gonna do some single leg dynamic lunges. So one foot will be on the blanket, one foot will be on the floor. And you're gonna start by moving your hips back a little bit. The foot that's on the floor, that knee bends and the blanket slides out. And then you'll push into your heel. So your outer hip engages as you squeeze in. And when I say dynamic, it's because we're gonna go back, we're gonna go forward, we're gonna go to the side, okay? And if any of those are like too much, you can just go back, more familiar movement. If you don't have a blanket, you can either do double leg squats or single leg. So you can do this just lifting your foot off the floor. Okay. The last movement will be a sort of a simulated pull-up. It's a pulling move that will bring us from a prone position into sort of like a high cobra. So arms go forward. I'm gonna press my hands apart like I did with my made up pull push squats. So I'll pull my arms away from each other and then bend my elbows to slide forward and back. Okay, so we'll do each one 10 times. It's gonna be great, it's gonna be lit. And we'll start with our feet on the blanket. Okay, we'll kind of treat this almost kind of sort of like Surya Namaskar A. Surya Namaskar Hey. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Stretch your arms up. Hinge at your hips and fold forward. Take your hands down to the floor, not to the blanket. So in front, you can put your hands on mat if you want. Bend your knees so you can get your palms rooted onto the floor. Grip with your fingertips. Twist with your hands. We'll do the first one slow. Squeeze your hands towards each other. Now keep pushing the floor away from you. As you breathe in, slide the blanket back. As you breathe out, slide it forward. That's 1. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Slide the blanket back. Step your right foot to the top or between your hands. You can lift your right hand to do that. Take your right hand outside of your knee as before. Press. As you inhale, stand up. Reach your left arm up. As you exhale, slide the blanket forward. Push down into your right heel and press your left arm back like we did before. So we'll slide out. 2. Exhale, slide in. Keep going. You could slide back at a diagonal a bit. That's 4. You could slide to the side. Hips go back. That's 6. You could slide the blanket forward. 2 more in whatever direction you wish. Slide the blanket back, arms up. Bring your hands down. Switch your legs. Put your right foot on the blanket, left foot forward. So just stabilize, knee to outer or hand to outer knee. Hug your left hip in. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale, push down to come up. Inhale and exhale. So once your left knee feels stable, your hand doesn't need to stay there. But that's sort of the feedback that can help you find where those stabilizing forces come from. That's 5. Play with some different positions. And then slide the blanket back, arms up. Exhale, hands down. Step both feet onto the blanket. Slide the blanket forward halfway. Step your feet behind the blanket. And you're going to line your belly with your pelvis on the blanket. Reach your arms out in front of you. Okay, now create the action of Shalabhasana. Lift your legs up. Breathe in. As you breathe out, pull with your arms, drag yourself forward. As you inhale, slide back. Okay, it's 2, 3. Work with a shorter range of motion or a shorter lever. Elbows could go down. 4, 5. If you don't have a blanket, 6, do Shalabhasana and do simulated pull-ups. 7, 8. You could also put a strap between your hands. 9, 10. Lift up Cobra. Push back towards Child's Pose. And lift your hips. Tuck your toes. Walk your hands back. And stand up. Oh boy, that's one set. We're going to do 2 more sets. You guys with me? Good. So in between sets, good idea to stay upright and use Ujjayi to manage your heart rate. If you have questions as we go, I'll spend some time at the end to answer questions. You can put them in the Q&A box there. All right. Stand on the blanket. For me to do this with you, I won't be able to talk so much, so you get the idea. 10 is not a magic number. Try to get these 6 to 8 reps in, working at your, close or towards your max available capacity. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands down. Slide the blanket back and slide in. 2, or rather 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Step your right foot forward. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, slide the blanket up. 1, 2. Go as low as you can without losing control. 3, 4. More weight in your right heel. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Slide back, hands down, switch your legs. Inhale, come up. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Also go back at a diagonal. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Slide back, hands down, step back. Slide the blanket forward, lie down, pelvis on the blanket, arms forward. Lift through your back body. Exhale, slide forward. 1, 2. To generate more tension, 3. If you're on the more of a slippery surface, keep pressing your hands away from each other the whole time. 3 more. Imagine you were doing a pull-up. Sometimes imagination is what we can use to create more activation. Back to child's pose. Tuck your toes. Stand up. Steady your heart rate. All right. It's at that time for me when glasses come off. It's almost that time when the shirt comes off, but you don't want to do that before it's time. It's one of the perks to practicing at home. Someone reached out to me and asked if I knew of any good online naked yoga, and I'm all about naked yoga, but I was like, isn't every class naked yoga now if you want it to be? You can reflect and answer that on your own. All right, last set. Breathe in, breathe out. Arms up, inhale. Arms down, exhale. Slide back and slide up. 1, 2, 3. Imagine pulling your arms and legs towards each other. So your shoulders engaged too. Call it 7, 8, 9, 10. Right leg forward. Arms up, breathe in. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Similar mechanics here. 4. Pulling your arm and leg towards each other. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Slide back, hands down, switch. Inhale up. 1, 2, 3. All these positions, 4, are good positions to be strong. 5. In fact, there's probably no position where being strong would be a bad idea. Slide back, arms up, hands down. Slide the blanket forward a bit. Step back, lower to your pelvis. Arms forward, and pull up. Pull forward. 1, 2. Use your exhale as you slide forward. 3. Bring your pelvic floor and abdomen with you. 4, 5. I know I'm going way too fast for some of you. 6, if you have sticky floors. You can use your feet to kind of give you a little boost as well. Push off your toes. 8, 9, 10. Press back, walk back, stand up. Okay, use your breath. It's time. Sorry for the noise there. We don't usually do a shirtless teaching when we go to film these classes, you know, so one of the perks to being at home. You can wear your true yoga gear. Okay, so that was one circuit of moves. We'll do at least one more. We'll see how much time we have. Maybe we'll do 2 more. For this next one, you're going to open the mat, or rather the blanket, wide. How are we doing? Feel free to pop a thumbs up there if you're still with me. You know, as someone who's audited a lot of online classes for ideas for myself, I don't want to suggest that it's not okay to just watch. And to a certain extent, when you watch something, if you are also mentally rehearsing it, you are still starting to develop those neural pathways that will contribute to the skill. So if you find yourself getting overly confronted or maxed out, feel free to watch and see if you can light up those parts of your body almost like sympathetically as you observe. And then when you feel like you can participate, you join in. That is true of all of my classes. But don't do it too much, because I'll say, like, get up and let's do this. So we're going to do leg adduction, shoulder adduction. That's the last one. And then we're going to do some plyometric jumps, right, which we did last week. So the leg adductions, I'll just show you briefly. Leg adductions are going to be on the blanket. I'm going to bunch it up. We're going to slide out. Don't go too far, because then you'll need to use both your inner thighs to slide in. Options, if it's too much, you can do one leg. If you do one leg, try not to bend this knee, right? So it's not what we just did. That's more of a squat. It's slide out, slide in. You could also kind of slide your leg across the midline and treat it less loaded, but really more activation for the adductor. Or you can do that open chain like this too. Okay, so we'll do 10 of those. Then I'm gonna do, you have two options here. One is we'll call quadruped adductions. So I'll be in table position. And I'm gonna slide my hands out and slide my arms in. Okay, now the work, as is customary for plank, is not to let the spine succumb to the arms. That's not a bad thing to do, but what we're working on here, we want shoulder blades a little closer together, and the movement just comes from the arms, specifically from my chest. Okay. So it's not really a push like into cat pose, just arm adduction. If you want to take that into more of a push-up, then like you did with the legs in the last circuit, I have my hands wide on the blanket, I bunched it up, and then one arm's going to do a push-up, so I come forward with my pelvis, other arm slides forward or out to the side. So it's a combination of pulling in with the straight arm, pushing down with the bent arm to come up. That can be done with legs off the floor as well. Okay, there you have it. So with your blanket or thing, whatever you're using, wide, step wide, bunch it up. Okay, do 10 each. So breathe in and out. As you breathe in, slide the blanket wide or a little wider than your hips. Exhale, slide in. 2, 3. If you're doing one leg at a time, you'll switch at 4, or at 5 rather. 4, 5, so switch legs or keep going. 6. Do whatever you need to do with your arms to like contribute to the movement as a whole body endeavor. 1 more. Arms up. Hip hinge, fold forward. So hands go to the blanket, knees go to the floor. Pat up your knees if you need. Okay. So as you inhale, you can slide your arms out, shoulder blades towards each other, away from your ears. Exhale, squeeze in. So 10 of those, or sort of a sliding archer push-up. 3, 4, 5, and slide on both directions. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tuck your toes. You're going to jump forward into a squat. Arms forward. Lean back into your heels. Okay. On your exhale, we'll jump up for a total of 10. Breathe in. Exhale, jump. 1, 2, 3, 4. And land. And rest. So put the marker at 10. If you have more juice in you, or you find yourself wanting to go back and repeat this class or this circuit, you can certainly add more reps, go for 15, 20. You can start higher, 20 the first time, and drop down as your capacity, is stressed. You can drop down subsequent rounds. You can also cut out these rest periods of heart regulation and me talking to you. So you do it as a circuit, just keep going, more kind of metabolic effect. And then you can take longer rests between the circuits. All right, round 2. Adductions. Inhale out, exhale in. Think of this as a Mula Bandha exercise. Just asking Mula Bandha to start at our feet. It ends at the crown of our head. Who knows? Maybe Mula Bandha continues on beyond the boundaries of our crown. Okay, hands down. Step back. The slides. Stabilize from tail to crown. Inhale out. Exhale in. Do one arm. Switch 4. Switch sides. Keep that clockwise twisting action through your right hand. I think 2 more. All right, jump forward. 10 squat hops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Land. Steady your breath. Whenever I take classes online and the teacher in the class is doing something and says, "Good job, well done, nice," I always laugh. But sometimes I'm just watching and I'm getting a well done. Or sometimes I've like fallen and I can't get up and I'm getting a nice. Let's see here. Yeah, gender specific modifications are needed often for all of us in one pose or another. So trial and error usually finds our way into the right version for us. Let's do 1 more. On your mark, get set. Let's go. It's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Arms up. Fold forward. Chest forward. Oops, sorry, hands on blankets. And we're gonna do some slides. So slide out and slide in. There's 2. You make it more of a push-up. So hips come forward. 3. It starts to go into different muscle groups, but you can also slide both arms forward, a bit more lat and core. These are all different forces that sort of contribute to us pushing off the floor and also curling in to ourselves from a more expansive position. Jump forward, 10 hops. And land. All right. Guess what? We have time for the last set. It's true. Now, I wanted to demonstrate these movements well for you today, so I decided I would sweat just so that you would know that it's okay for you to sweat too. That was one thing. When I first started practicing yoga, I would just pour sweat. I figured at one point I'll evolve past the point of needing to become a puddle at the end of my practice, but has yet to happen. Okay, the last circuit is a supine circuit. That's good news. You're lying your back with the blanket stretched out wide like this. Actually, before you lie down, let's just turn some things on here. We're going to do something for your hamstrings. We're going to do something for the back of your shoulders. And then we're going to do a movement for your side body. Unless I made that up. Yes, that's correct. So just so you kind of feel where it is we're going for here, stand on one leg, grab a hold of your foot behind you, take a thigh stretch, press your knee towards the floor. You get more length in your thigh and in your hip flexor if you keep your pelvis sort of tucked more forward. And the work is to bring your knee back. So the stretch is in the front, the shortenings in the back, if you keep everything where it is, like your foot specifically and your pelvis, and release your hands, and I don't know about you, I feel my hamstring, I don't know what the right word is, screaming, turning on, activating, right foot down, second side. Saying hello, rich with sensation. So stretch your thigh, and keep everything where it is. Activate your hamstring and stretch your thigh. Okay, so we'll do that with both legs. Instead of moving our shin around, we're moving our body around. Then for your upper body, we're going to do this sort of, it's a horizontal abduction of your shoulders. It'll strengthen the muscles between your shoulder blades on the back of your shoulders themselves. So it'll kind of look like a crunch, but instead of using your core solely to pull you up, you're also going to use the back of your body to push you up. Okay? And the last movement we'll do will be a side to side, as I said before. So lie on your back without further ado. I'm the kind of person that likes to know what I'm doing before I do it. So I assume other people are too, but sometimes it's like, let's just do the damn thing. Okay, so important here that your heels are on the blanket. Your arms can be on the floor beside you. Let's just practice the movement in the back of your knees. You'll push your heels into the blanket and then drag the blanket towards your hips. Okay, and this might be all that you do, and it's not nothing, right? So the tissue at the back of your knees is being shortened and lengthened in this position. It's a great idea, you know, for those of you that find it difficult to avoid hyperextension in the back of your knees. This is a nice way to gain a little bit more facility in this area. Now, to progress and bring this into the back of your hips as well, let's start with your feet drawn in, and then lift your hips, come into a bridge pose. Okay, so the work here, the objective is to keep your pelvis as high as you can the whole time. Sometimes I'll even put my fingers on my hip points, almost as like a little measure to notice if they drop. Curl your tailbone up, and then you'll slide your heels forward and see if you can hold this straight leg bridge for a second. Then put your pelvis down. Then bend your knees, slide in, and lift up. Okay, so we're going to do 10 more of those. You can work a bit more of the strength curve by keeping your hips lifted the whole time. Okay, so on your own, slide out and slide in. Quite active endeavor in the backs of your legs. So if you get fatigued and not able to slide back in, you can put your hips down and regress to just the knee movement or just work in the lengthening phase. Let's do one or two more. Okay, and then put your feet down. Oof. Take your arms up beside you. So here's the posterior shoulder work. So you're going to press your fists into the floor. As you push down, so elbows and fists can go down. I lift my chest up and I peek forward. And then I'm going to go back down. So it's kind of a small movement. It can just be elbows. It can be elbows then to wrists and fists, so you lift a little higher. I'm going to go for about 6 or 7 more. If you want to add in some core work here, you can straighten your legs into Navasana as you come up. Knees draw in as you go down. Let the lift come more from your arms than from your core. If you can, if you can discern that. 2 more. And then lower. Okay, and finally, straighten your legs. Interlace your fingers behind your head. Imagine you were like a snake or a fish. You're going to keep your whole back body on the blanket, but just do a side flexion. So I'm going to curl over to the right. So my feet slide to the right. My torso slides to the right. I'm not so much lifting my left hip. You could do that, but just kind of maxing out lateral flexion and then to the left. Squeeze and then slide. So right, left, right, left. Here's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and center. Okay, that's it. We'll do that 2 more times. Let's keep an eye on the time. Okay. I think we can. So let's, we don't need as much rest for these. Let's go back into hamstrings. So either hips up, slide in and out, hips down, slide in and out, or hips up, slide out, hips down, slide in, like a circle. Okay, so lift, exhale, slide you in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lower down, arms wide, knees bent, push down, lift up. 1, 2, 3. You can keep your head kind of lifted the whole time, but I like to put my head down because then I get a little head sit up as well, a little neck sit up. 1 more. And then straight legs, hands behind your head, and slither right, left, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Come to center, rest. Okay, so this will be our last circuit, our last time through, and then we'll have some time for a little integration and cool down. I will say, because I know that many of you are out there joining me, well done, all of us. Life is fiery enough. It takes courage to activate and cultivate your own inner fire. All right, last one. So we'll do hamstring curls first. Slide in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hips down, bend your knees, push into your fists, go up. 1, 2. You could try this with a neutral spine, or more of a neutral spine, so your head doesn't look forward, but it kind of lifts straight up towards the ceiling. But I'm not leading with my face, I'm leading with my chest. It's that Jalandhara Bandha stabilization work. Of course, I lost count, so how about 1 more? Sounds right. All right. And slither it out. So as you go side to side, you might imagine that one leg is shortening, one leg is lengthening. You can generate this movement from sort of the push-pull of your feet as well as your side body, as well as the gliding of your ribs. And just get lost in choices and movement patterns. Come to center and rest. All right, take your hands to your heart. Some supine pranayama here. Take your arms out wide. Bend your knees into your chest. Now, I'm going to do a little tiny backwards roll. Just going to rock yourself back a few times. Stretch out your low back, your mid back. You can roll a bit more towards your upper back. not going anywhere near, I'm not really like going towards halasana, so just more about spine here than inverting. And then when you roll up, push into your arms and combine to sit. Turn to the side. Okay, do this. Take your feet to the floor, somewhat wide. And let's just move your hips into a bit more dimension. So some rotational movements. And then when your legs come over to the right, pause there. Do a 90-90, so 90-degree angle, hip and knee. Turn over your right leg and fold. There's lots of different ways to approach this kind of stretch. I'm inclined to let it just be passive. Okay, so that said, left hand to the sole of your right foot can give you just a little bit of feedback to help stabilize your hip as you move into some length in the outer tissues. You could try kind of sliding your heart more towards your ankle or across your shin towards your knee. Pull, push with your hands. And come up. Lean to your right. Bring your left foot into more of a virasana. Doesn't matter if your left buttocks isn't on the floor. And then lean back into your right elbow. So I squeeze my left glute, stretch forward through my left knee. If you want more, maybe it's more. For me, it feels like more. You can roll to your left elbow and bring your left sitting bone closer towards the floor. Also kind of use your right foot to like push, give more leverage into the stretch. Lean to the right, come up, open up the angle of your knee, go over to the left. 90-90, fold over your left shin. So I have right hand to the ball of my left foot. I kind of pull, push with my hands, or push, yield almost. I can change the angle of force into my left hip. And then come up, tuck your right shin into more of a virasana, lean back into your left elbow, stretch forward through your right thigh. More concentric force in the back of your hip, squeeze to open up. More eccentric length on the front of your hip and thigh, stretch. Go back onto both elbows, maybe adjust your hips and pelvis accordingly. To me, that looks like my left knee coming up. And then circle yourself back up, open the angle. Okay, let's open up both legs. Bring the soles of your feet together. Scoot your hips towards your heels. Hands behind you, lift your chest up, press your outer heels together, and then tip yourself forward. So the force here comes more from your outer hips if we're going to leverage our way deeper, which maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But if we're going more passive on the inner, active on the outer, press with your outer heels. Think about squeezing from outer knees to outer hips. Take your chest forward. All right, come up. Lift your left knee up, straighten your left leg. Lift your right leg up, step your right foot outside of your left thigh. Yep. And then left elbow around your knee and twist. Outer hip stretch. Okay, untwist. Switch your legs. Twist to the left. Untwist. Let's do a little forward bend. You can bend your knees here. Actually, turn and put your heels on the blanket. Kind of nice. and pull the blanket in a bit. Reach forward, grab a hold of your feet, outer edges of your feet. Try and get your ribs and your thighs pretty close together, if not all the way together. Lift your spine. And then only slide your feet forward. So I'm pushing with my legs, pulling with my arms to the extent that I can keep my ribs and thighs together. Then at the back of your neck, receive some length as well. If you can take the legs all the way straight, feel free. Peel yourself up and cross your legs. Take your left arm across your body. Hold with your right forearm. Stretch your shoulder, deltoid. And switch. Release, take your hands behind you. You can kind of reach back a bit, grab sort of the back edge of the blanket. I usually grab the sides, so my fingers are kind of pointing back. Okay, and then you're going to slide the blanket up towards you. So depending on your range of motion, you can scoot forward, you can do this with straight or bent knees. So you're going to slide back to the front of your shoulders, stretch. Pull the blanket back, lift your chest up. And then slide the blanket forward, lift your chest. If that feels good, you can try it a few times. A little less passive on this one, but still quite fortifying, nourishing. Okay, last move, cross your legs. Take your left fingertips to the floor beside you. Okay. Crawl your left hand over to the left, pull your left shoulder blade down, and lean your right ear towards your right shoulder. You can add resist or force if you want with your hand. I often don't find that's necessary. I'm usually more interested in moving my head around. I'm thinking not so much about dropping my head, but more pointing the top of my head to the right. You can tuck your chin, tilt your chin. Okay, if you need a little support in bringing your head up, you can use your right hand, and then switch. Even here, that little clockwise twist of your fingertips can be useful. And head up. Take both fingertips down. Press your fingertips into the floor, into the blanket. Counterclockwise twist, lift your chest. Root from your tailbone to the crown of your head. Turn your palms to face forward. Okay, as you breathe and reach your hands back and circle, sweep your arms all the way up. On your exhale, push your pelvis down, pull your hands to your heart. Close your eyes, touch your thumbs to your sternum. Feel the tapaha, the tapas, the inner fire that you cultivate as a means of purification, a means of transformation, cultivation, alchemy. Cool that fire with your breath. Let's soothe ourselves into the adaptations that our body is now underway as a result of our practice with one unifying sound of Om. Inhale. Lift your heart and bow your head. May the strength we cultivate inside allow us to show up in the world with more strength on the outside. So we can leverage that strength into service for others, for our collective, for communities, for our planet. Release your arms, lift your chin, and open your eyes. Okay, well done, guys. Thank you for joining me today. If you need some Shavasana time, I support that. I make myself available to questions for a little bit here. Questions, also feedback. I'm always curious to know how your body perceives these kind of movements. Hard, yeah, I agree. You're welcome. You're welcome. Is it possible? I see only one question. Uh-oh. Is there a way to get a written list of today's sequences? I'm gonna say no, because tell you what, I will post it on my Instagram story. So if you only because if I said yes, email me, then it'd be redundant. So I'll post the sequence on my Instagram story. You can copy paste it. You know, the smug answer is yes. Go back, watch the video, and write it down. You know, once you kind of have it memorized, you can repeat. My intention with these classes as well is that by the end of the 4 weeks, you'll have sort of a set of 4 classes that you could repeat as a weekly circuit. So as we did last week was more plyometric. You could do that one day of the week. You could do this another day of the week. And then I don't want to make promises of what we'll do the next 2 days, but probably, you know, we'll cover sort of a dynamic spectrum of strength and conditioning training. So you'll have a nice little set, right, or a nice little split. You could recur then for 4 to 6 weeks and make some goodness happen. Yep, every class that we do here is cataloged on Yoga International. So the class if you missed last week, you can take my class last week. I don't think it's in the same spot as the rest of my classes. I think you have to go into the MoveTogether section. I believe they're in there. Yeah. Let's see what else. Good reminder to have the breath. So I'm seeing a lot of questions in the chat box. There is a Q&A section on the bottom. It'll be easier for me to answer questions if you put them there. Otherwise, I'm scrolling through lots of feedback and questions, which I do appreciate being able to read. I'm working with another teacher and incorporate strong movements. Learn from you, is that possible online? Yeah, it is definitely possible to learn from me online. I have a course coming up here on Yoga International actually in a few short weeks. It's probably too soon to announce that, but stay tuned for that. There'll be more information coming out soon about that. I'll be running some teacher training programs online, and I do work with teachers one-on-one for mentorship. If you have specific things that you want to work with, I can help. Will the next 2 weeks seminar be in similar vein as today's total body condition or as a progression? Well, I think maybe I hear you asking if we'll spend some time kind of progressing and investing in the individual movements themselves. I don't know. You know, last week I taught a plyometrics class, which is sort of a variation of sun salutations, and someone asked, is it possible to have a session that focuses on full body conditioning? And then look what happened. So if there are specific things that you'd like to see happen, you can let me know and try to put it together in a way that has something for everyone. Of course, it's teaching a mixed level class is difficult enough. Teaching a mixed level class with hundreds of people all around the world that you can't see is its own unique challenge of the modern era of teaching. So do what I can to get you guys what you need. I often have sharp pains between my shoulder blades after doing back focused poses intensely or things like deadlifts. Any ideas on what I'm doing wrong, if anything? I always hesitate to answer questions like that without more information, because it doesn't even necessarily mean that you're doing something wrong. It could mean that there's something that you're not doing that could be of benefit to you in addition to what you're doing, and adding that into your movement diet will help that movement, you know, be more beneficial for you and less painful at the very least. So pain is really complicated. Again, if I recommend reaching out to professionals in your area or online or whomever, I'm happy to help if I can. You can reach out to me personally. We can look at some things. Yoga International. If so, through Yoga International is in regards to the continuing ed course. Yes, there'll be a continuing ed course for all you yoga nerds out there coming out soon on Yoga International. I don't have my glasses on, but I am technically a yoga nerd, so that's a term of endearment. Do I follow a whole food, plant-based diet? I intend to. I don't always. Yeah, I don't really follow a particular diet, so to speak. I have, you know, I've been vegetarian and vegan and raw vegan and gluten-free and sugar-free and organic only and different things. I think, you know, without getting too much into my personal food habits, traveling the world and teaching internationally, which I was doing up until the last few weeks, made it quite difficult to have really strict requirements with food. So I've kind of taken a more adaptable approach to the things that I eat. But much like my movement practice, my food choices tends to bob and weave around quite a bit. Thank you for also providing options, modifications, and progression regressions. This isn't really a question, but I was able to use books on the carpet floor for many of the exercises. Just a tip. It felt good to try a creative version. If cool. Yeah, like let me know all the different things that slide on carpet. Who knows? Like maybe if you use books that you really want to, like if there's information in the book you really want to like absorb, and you put your hands on the pages and slide and breathe and sweat into those books, could be interesting. Oh, that was Emily. Hi, Emily. It's one of my best friends. Do I travel for workshops, festivals, so you can see me in person? I did. I probably will again. Let me know. So in general, just like the general rule of thumb in terms of me going places is that it usually follows, or usually it's preceded by me being invited to go somewhere. So sometimes people say, when are you going to come here? Or when are you going to come there? And I say, I will go there when I'm invited graciously by a studio or a festival to come there, and if it works in my schedule, I will go. So once things are up and running, or you know, as we acclimate to whatever the new normal looks like, I'm happy to come and see you if I can. Any other questions before we head out here? What's the time? 2:15. Did a little better on time this week. Let's see, I'll scroll through here. Fun and stimulating, love the variation, great. Challenging but exhilarating. You are most welcome, guys. Hamstrings, well, yes, it is very likely that tomorrow you will be sore. And sometimes people will say, like, what happens if I feel it here, I feel it here, I feel it here? You'll probably feel it in a lot of different places, especially if these are things that you've not done before or not done in a while. Soreness is not a bad thing. Doesn't mean even necessarily that you need to not do this again for a while. Sometimes, you know, soreness gives rise to tomorrow's movement practice, which kind of picks up where you left off. So what I would say is if you, before next week when we meet, if you didn't do last week's session, which was the plyometric session, do that one. So you can have both of these in your tissues before next time. Even if you did do it last week, I think I gave the invite to, you know, at least what we built up to over the course of an hour was a kind of plyometric version of a sun salutation, which I invited anyone that wants a challenge to do that 2 or 3 times a week, a circuit of 10. So 30 seconds of the plyometric sun salutation, 30 seconds rest, sort of a high intensity interval deal. If you haven't done that yet this week, or if you've only done it once or twice, do it a second or third time before next week. Okay. Oh, more questions. You're most welcome. For a supine scapular work, is it like a V-up assisted by retraction? Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, we do it with a long lever, and it requires more force between the shoulder blades to kind of stabilize all the way out into your arm. That's more fists. If you do it with a shorter lever, right, you'll likely, call that a regression. So similar muscle group that's being activated, but less kind of force needed to create the movement. You can also try it at different angles, right? So if I'm here, it's going to work a different cluster of muscles or organization of those clusters. If I go more here or go more here, or even go more here, right? All these different angles innervate the muscles that run really from your arm to your shoulder blade to your spine in different force vectors. So all good places to start. If you know, these are, a lot of these are clever ways, if I do say so myself, clever ways to strengthen these muscles if you don't have other types of equipment. So like we could also use resistance bands attached to something. We could be doing pull-ups. We could be on like a cable machine pulling here. So we don't have things to pull on. We have to get clever in our practice. Okay. I think we'll leave it at that, folks. Thank you so much for joining me this week. If you don't already know, I do a live meditation on my Instagram a couple times a week. This week it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We move, we breathe, and we sit for a little bit together. It's at 9 a.m. Pacific time on my Insta, which is Rocky Heron, at Rocky Heron. And I have a large collection of classes on Yoga International. If you have yet to engage with any of them, there's a lot of opportunities and ways that you can keep practicing with me on demand whenever you'd like. So shout out to restorative yoga, shout out to nourishing movements and somatic movements, as well as these more kind of young, active, awakening, strength-based movements. You know, it's all strength, right? We can create the grooves through which strength can move through the subtler practices, and then we can really load and activate and fortify those channels in the more active practices. And what I love about yoga is that we get to do both. We get to kind of run the gamut of what it means to be alive. So wishing you a wonderful rest of your week, and thank you for hanging out with me today.
Want to practice live with Rocky or one of our other expert teachers? Sign up for a membership on Yoga International. Link in the description.